Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100% You, a podcast which is all about discovering who you truly meant to be and becoming your best version of yourself. I'm your host, Bora Burrell, and I've been on the self development journey for the past 14 years and spiritual journey for the past 12 years. In today's episode, we have a different background until I figure out how I'm going to film everything. I'm trying to do my best, and as I always say, the show must keep going on. No matter if you don't know how it's gonna happen, you just need to stay consistent and do the thing that you promise yourself you're gonna do. So today's episode, we're gonna talk about what matter more than action. So let's start with today's episode. I'll start by saying that in the past 4 days, all I've been doing is literally just building strategy for my own life. And it's something that I want to do for the upcoming days as well. And the previous 4 days was mainly about health, about my routine, my workouts, everything regarding to my health and my physical appearance. Because I decided this year I want to feel and look my best. And in order to do so, I need to build a structured strategy. Now, one of the things that I personally realized is that the more in depth you go when you build a strategy, especially in your own life, the better the results can actually happen. And the first time I saw it and felt it, it was when I trained for my first half marathon. I was 20 and I had a really, really structured plan. I knew exactly what I need to work out when, how much, and I didn't miss any plan except from like only one workout at the end of my trainings because I injured and I knew that if I'll not rest, I'll not get the results that I wanted. But in general, building a really structured strategy can really help you to get the results that you want and the life that you want eventually. And as always, I will take and look at this from a more spiritual perspective so you can actually understand what is the spiritual aspect of building a strategy for your own life. So, more than that, I'll say that in the past few weeks, few months, I really feel like I quantum leap in my life, but at the same time, I feel like I'm right now at the stage where I just need to press play on one of the routes that I need to choose because I have a few routes in front of me that I know that is open to me, but at the same time, I feel that I need to choose something and just go. And the easiest thing to do sometimes is just go with the flow and do the things you need to do. That's what I felt like I was doing in the past weeks because I had a lot of things going on in my life. And I felt that no matter how much I really want to just stop for a second and think and just go step back, I have so many things going on. At some point, I just realized that a few meetings that I had was literally not necessarily part of the route that I want to take. So it made me realize that I just spent 2 days on building something, building a pitch deck, maybe doing some kind of meetings, preparations, talking to certain people, but eventually maybe it's not the route that I want to take. And if you remember, one of the first episodes of 100% You, we talked about how to know what you desire. And it's really important to know what you desire because we are manifesting all the time. And people don't really understand this. Every second of our day, we're manifesting something. Eventually, we're manifesting by the feelings that we hold every single day, every single second, the thoughts that we have, but mainly is the subconscious thoughts, feelings, and emotions we hold. And if we're not stopping for a second and look what we are desiring right now, what is leading us right now, we will manifest things that not necessarily align with what we truly want. And the core thing that I want to start from is that strategy equals your inner vessel. When your vessel can hold more, you can attract more in your life and get bigger things and better things and maybe bigger desires that you really want. Now, why is it equal strategy? In order to land something in your life and to have space for this, you need to make sure that you have the right strategy to get there. This strategy is basically empty your container or reorganize your container in order to receive more. Because if you're not stopping and see what is the right strategy for you, maybe right now something that you're doing is much more complicated than what you can do in order to achieve the results that you want. Maybe you're going in the completely wrong direction. So building a strategy is basically just making room for the energy that you want to receive in your life. And by doing this, you're basically expanding your vessel. So many people talking about expanding your vessel. We also had an episode about expanding your vessel to basically build a momentum. And that's exactly the things that you need to remember. In order to receive more, to have more in your life, this energy needs to land somewhere, and people forget about it. Now, I'll tell you a bit about what I did in the past days. So I've been always very active person. I've been working out since 11, 12 years old. I love working out. Sometimes I'm working out more, sometimes less. But in general, this is something that really is part of my life. Now, I can tell you that I really love the way I look and I feel strong and I love the way I look. But at the same time, I feel like I have more potential than what I have right now. And I want to tune to that version of myself because I was there in the past. So I know it exists and I know how it feels to be in that version of myself, which was much better. I felt much more free in my body. I felt so much lighter. I felt so much energy. And I want to tap to that version again. And every time that I try to tap to that version, I build some kind of a strategy. I decide to maybe eat a certain way. By the way, I eat very healthy, but at the same time, you can eat healthy and still not get the results that you want. It doesn't really matter. So I eat healthy. Sometimes I did this workout, sometimes this, and I build a plan every time, but not something that was really, really structured in order to sustain that result and have the results that I want. I was very general with everything that I want. So there's certain type of workouts that I really, really love, a plan that I used to do for years. And every time I did it, I got the best results. But in the last times, every time I did this plan, it didn't work for me. And it's not that I didn't like how it felt on my body. Like the opposite, I really liked the workout. I loved how it felt on my body. I loved everything about it. But I felt like every time I did this type of workouts, I was eating so much more than I used to. I was craving so much food and it just felt ridiculous. Every time I started to do this workout plan, I stopped after 2 weeks, not because it didn't feel good, the workout, because I did feel stronger. I did felt like I have more energy, but I just was eating so much more food and I could not understand why it's happening like this. So this time I decided before I'm entering a new plan or anything else regarding working out and eating differently, I told myself I want to learn from my past mistakes and try to actually analyze everything so I can actually learn and understand what was blocking me, why I got different results from what I wanted, and try to actually understand what can help me. So let's say I want to get fit, so I need to understand what to eat exactly at the right time. Maybe I need to eat more protein after work, a certain type of workout. Maybe I need to eat more, I don't know, carbs. You need to plan those kind of stuff if you want to get a certain results. Now, every time I planned like just the workouts, but I didn't really plan the meals, or I planned the meals, but I didn't plan the workout. And I never really combined both of them to get the results that I wanted. And apparently now when I really tried to analyze the workout that I did, I was obsessed with. Apparently, it was only 3 times a week to do resistance training and 2 to 3 times a week walking. And I was doing running the whole time, every time I did this plan. And not only I did running, I did like 10 kilometers, 7 kilometers, really long runs. And now when I really try to analyze what didn't work, apparently it was wrong to add runnings instead of walking or doing boxing or different kind of workouts that I used to do instead of what the plan actually said to do. So I really planned the upcoming 3 weeks, and I also plan what I'm gonna do after it's gonna finish. And I plan the meals for every single day. I know what I'm going to eat for the past 3 months. I have options and everything, but it's something that I never did, and I'm really excited about this. And it took me 4 days because I really want to learn the core of what I'm doing. Because once I understand what I'm doing, what's the meaning behind this, it's not only that I'm building a strategy, I basically let the new energy to land in my body, in my container, much more smoothly because it understands the process, it understands where it needs to land, exactly where it needs to land. And I basically give when I have this kind of structure of strategy of this plan that I have, I basically give space for new energy to come in. Now, another thing that I did, I have my morning routine, the same morning routine for the past 10 to 15 years. Every morning I wake up, I try to wake up very early. Then the first thing I do is basically drink a cup of water, and then I make a coffee. Usually, this is my morning routine during weekdays. Weekends is a little bit different. I drink a cup of coffee. At the same time, I'm reading a book for like 30, 45 minutes. Sometimes it can be hour because if I'm looking at my phone or something. And I'm really trying to meditate also in the mornings. Now, the problem is that I start to feel that my morning routine is really not helping me to get the energy that I want to have in the mornings. I'm the type of person when I wake up, I have lots of energy. And in the past, this routine used to work for me because I used to read 20 minutes book and then I went to work out and I didn't have the meditation. But once I added the meditation, it's like you have, and now I read also book on English, so it can take longer to read books. So what I realize is that I wake up with tons of energy, but I know that I don't want to use this energy until I finish my meditation. And my meditation usually happened only 1 hour after I wake up. And it was really hard for me to sit and do meditation once I just open my eyes because I want to drink coffee before that. So I decided that if I really want to change my life, I need to do something different. And I tried a few times to change my morning routine. But again, I realized that if I will not have a straight strategy that I know exactly what I'm going to do, it's going to be really hard to follow it. So I changed also my morning routine today. I did the first day. So, let's see how it's gonna work. But I change it so I'm not going to read books anymore in the morning because I see that it lowering my energy and I prefer to do it in the evenings to have like 30, 40 minutes of reading book before I go to sleep. And the second I'm waking up, instead of drinking coffee, I'm drinking hot water with lemon and ginger. And then 10 minutes later, I'm starting my meditation. And so far, actually, today it wasn't that bad. Like I thought it's going to be much harder, but it was fine. So I'm changing my habits in order to let new energy come in my life because I feel like, when you have the same habits for years, sometimes we need to stop and see if those habits are still helping us to become the version that we want to be. So as I said, I changed it and now I meditate when I wake up. Then I'm doing workout, either the resistance training or just go for a walk. And I decide that if I'm going to go for a walk that day, I'm going to take a cup of coffee with me and do a walk with my coffee, which I never did. And I always had a dream to like do this because I felt like, I don't know, it's cute to do it in the morning, to do kind of walk with coffee. So I'm going to change my morning routine. Why? Because if I want to change, let new energy in my life, I feel like I need to let go of old energy and make space for the new energy to come in my life. Everything that you have in your life, everything, your habits, your thoughts, your feelings, your stuff that you have in your life, everything holds energy. So if you have something that is not serving you anymore, in order to let something new, you must let go of the old energy. It can be very hard, but that's the only way. You need to let go of old energy in order to let in new energy. Now, strategy comes here because it's a tool that really helps you to do that shift much easier. Why? Because when you have a strategy and plan, it's helping you to stick to that plan. Because if you just decide, okay, from now on, I'm not doing this, I'm doing that, it can be very hard to sustain that if you didn't understand the core meaning of why you're doing what you're doing. If you don't know exactly what's going to happen in that day, because every day can look different. So once you build a strategy, you basically expand your vessel to receive more in your life. Now, I want to talk about another thing. Sometimes, as I said, I feel that right now I have a few roots that can be open in my life, and I feel like I haven't pressed play yet on any of them. And I know that like I need to decide in the next couple of days which route I'm gonna press play and just start taking actions and, go and do whatever I need to do. When you have lots of things going on in your life, and sometimes you have some kind of goal, you have North Star goal, you know where you're going. But if you really go deep to it, sometimes we don't really know where we're going. We want multiple things. We have multiple different desires. Maybe we don't believe that we can achieve what we really want. So we have sub goals or different goals that we think are more attainable in our life. So we have, I'm showing with my hand. So we have maybe the North Star goal, which is actually what we want, but we don't believe in it. So we have more goals that sounds more reachable. So we think about them and try to do all the actions to get to those goals instead to the goal that you really want. And maybe there's more opportunities because, I don't know, something happens in your life and you get many opportunities and they sound amazing and you think maybe it will help you to get to the higher goal, but you still kind of hold to those goals. So what should we do in that situation? Because it's easy sometimes to just act and do things and feel that you really accomplish things and, have those little milestones that you feel like you achieved things. Maybe you had a few great meetings. Maybe you met a few incredible people that really trying to help you with something. But if we try to narrow it down, sometimes when we're not really clear about the desire, the true desire that we have, and it's like, you cannot move from this desire, this is what you're doing right now. You're basically, as I said, we're always manifesting. So you're manifesting different things from different areas, and it's very hard to stay focused on your goal, on what you actually want, but you're afraid to get it and you don't maybe think that it's possible for you. Now, the best thing in this situation to do is to find a few days, take a few days off, maybe the entire weekend, maybe a few evenings, mornings, and to start writing everything that you have in your life on a piece of paper. I have board that I use and it's really helping me. I use three things. I use my whiteboard, use my notebook, and I use my computer because everything I feel like I need to write in different places. That's, I don't know, I'm weird. That's how I get focused easier because in every place I write different thoughts and then I combine everything together. But try to write what do you have now in your life and try to think about what do you actually want? What do you actually desire? I would start from what do you actually desire and start to ask those tough questions and then see what do you have right now in your life and try to play around with this and see what works, what gets you closer to your goal and what's not. If you need to choose, from a few different paths, to choose the right thing is basically based on your true desire and start believing this. And in order to expand your vessel and receive more in that area of your life and to get to your true desire, you need to build a strategy. Now, I'm not necessarily telling you build a strategy A, B, C, D until you get to the point of your desire. What I'm telling you is a step before that. To take your entire life, everything that you have, I can tell you that I have the podcast on. I'm still a student. I have left only one semester. I have a business that I'm building. I'm also now ambassador of Base 44. So I also create content. So I have many things going on in my life. So I have a lot of things, but eventually to make sense of everything, I need to make sure everything aligns to one goal and to know what I'm saying yes and what not. Because I don't want to get to a situation anymore where I'm preparing for a meeting for 2 days and then when I finish the meeting, I just realized that I don't really want to participate in that certain event that I was pitching about and whatever, because it's not necessarily aligned with the goals that I want. And you know what happened? I wasted energy that I could put on something else, on something that's not necessarily giving the results that I want or getting me where I want it. Sometimes you get opportunities that sound amazing and everything, and you jump on each opportunity. I used to have it for a really long time. Now I'm more narrowing down and I know how to say no to things. But sometimes it's hard when you see a great opportunity, but you need to stay focused on what you want. And staying focused, as I said, it's part of your strategy. It's part of expanding your vessel to receive more because you're cleaning the energy. Everything that you have in your life, everything that you're doing, everything that you want, everything holds energy. So remember, it's an energy exchanger. When something goes, something must come in. Also, I can give you another example. So one of the core things that for me was to change the morning routine that I have and build a workout plan and everything is that I really want a relationship this year. And this is one of my main goals. I know that I'm ready to have a true relationship, to have a really meaningful relationship. And in the past months, I feel that all I've been doing is just making space for this to happen and come in my life. And one of the last things that I realized that was really kind of holding me is the routine that I have, because I felt that I was working really long hours. Sometimes I was working on my computer in the past months until 11 p.m., 12, whatever. And I could sometimes wake up late, sometimes early, sometimes, I don't know, sleep really late in the weekends. And I realized that I don't want to work on weekends at all because I want to make free energy for a relationship to enter. So I'll have free evenings and I'll have the entire weekends for my partner. Like, of course, I would love to see him much more than that. But in general, I realized that I need to make space for a relationship to land in my life. And the first thing is realizing that I cannot work on weekends. And the second thing is I need to make room for free evenings and also have much shorter time of morning routine from what I used to have. I used to have like 2-3 hours morning routine. And I realize again that if I really want a relationship, I don't know if 2-3 hours will be the right thing for a relationship right now because I have the type of person I want to attract in my head. And for me, like the vision that I have is that we're waking up together and I don't know, we're doing stuff together maybe in the morning. So for me, the ideal morning routine would be like maximum like 1.5 hours when I realize what I truly want, what kind of relationship I want. So I made space for this, started this week. So let's see how it's going. But this is also a very important thing. Also, I have many things going on in my family. So I knew that once this chapter will close, I'll be more open to see more friends, maybe, and start dating and going to enter a relationship. And this chapter ended, and I knew that once this chapter ended, I'm going to start working out again, seeing my friends, which I started to do in the past days, and change accordingly based on what you want and make sure that you have the right strategy to hold what you want, to make sure that your true desire will have space to land in your life. And please remember, you're manifesting all the time. So make sure you know what are your desires. If you don't know what your desires and where are you going right now, it will be very hard to actually tune to your dream life because you're manifesting all the time. And if you don't really believe that you can achieve what you want because maybe you didn't build the right vessel for it, the right strategy for it, so it will be much harder to get there. But if you put all, you build a strong base to hold the life that you want, you can achieve everything that you want because you build a vessel that can hold it, but you need to build it. And sometimes it can take years, it can take weeks, it can take months, no matter, depends on what you really try to achieve in your life. But the right strategy is the right vessel to hold what you want. That's what you need to remember. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was short and simple. I wanted to make it as a more motivational kind of episode and just to be a reminder for anyone who needs it. If there's any specific topics you would like me to talk about, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you are following me. I'm posting each and every Tuesday. So I hope you liked today's episode and I'll see you next week. Bye!